Hey, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome into the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB network. We are Los Angeles Sports, and we are here to talk about your Los Angeles Rams, who host the Minnesota Vikings tonight at SoFi Stadium. Thursday night football. Short week, so we thought let's just do a live pregame. We usually record our pregame show on Thursdays, put it out Fridays for the Sunday game, and it's like, well, let's just go live right now, a couple hours before kickoff. Talk, see what people want to talk about. Obviously, a lot of great things to actually talk about with both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp expected to play in this one. A huge boost, of course. So we'll get all into that as we get people in here. Welcome in, bring your comments, questions, thoughts, all that good stuff. But Skinny T, what's up, brother? How we doing? How's Thursday treating you? It's been busy.
Yeah, it has, man. When stuff starts hitting the fan, you gotta type real fast, and it's fun and exciting. But there's so much meat on the bone for this game. It's just kind of incredible to think, the possibilities and man, it's good stuff. Before we dive in, it's
First of all, show is always brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag. 2-day use. Well, you don't even need a promo code. Just head to BetOnline. Tell the guys at the Rams Skinny, the Rams LAFB sent you all the best lines. Obviously, take the Rams tonight. I would say I haven't even looked yet before we jumped on. I wonder if that line has shifted with this new news. Have to dive into that. Obviously, they were probably definitely underdogs 24 hours ago, but now they might be either a lot closer or maybe even favored. So, but all that can be done at BetOnline, and hopefully you can win some money on the Rams tonight. So while you're looking for that, Ryan, we'll see. But crazy to think, and then just stop me from talking whenever you find it. But crazy to think that so far the conversations this week have been Cooper Kupp potentially traded. I wouldn't say on the trade block, but certainly it has been reported that they have actually made phone calls, not even just taken phone calls, but seen some what the market would look like for trading Cooper Kupp. Rumors of Matthew Stafford being traded. One rumor particularly to the Vikings, which we talked about 2 weeks ago. That rumor has been, some have refuted it. Who really knows? Obviously, all it is just conversation anyway. To now, Kupp and Nacua both playing in this game, and there's life among this team, among this fan base all of a sudden. So it's amazing what 24 hours can change, right, Skinny?
Well, looking at our viewership right now, that's a big change. We're sitting around 200 viewers for a glimpse behind the curtain, and it's been a little less than that when they're on their losing streak. But some excitement injected back in. Vikings still favored in this game by 3 points. 3-point road favorites. So I don't know if that moved. I actually forgot to even take a peek at it, but just because I figured it was going to be a big Vikings favorite. So that's not bad. I don't mind that. I mean, especially, yeah. But I mean, the trade rumors are always interesting and fun. And I mean, to just kind of jump right into it, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, active for this game. What do you think, Puka Nacua? How much do you think he's going to play today? Do you think this is just some smoke and mirrors, or do you think there's going to be some?
Yeah, as a AMS also. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know what that means or want to know maybe, but they literally put his practice window yesterday, right? Or was it 2 days ago on Tuesday when his practice window was opened and he came off the IR?
Yeah, Monday or Tuesday, yeah.
Or he came off the IR today. His practice window was opened on Tuesday. So, he hasn't practiced with the team much. Obviously, he's on his own time trying to get healthy, trying to get right, doing his own reps and stuff, but he hasn't had any obviously much even walkthroughs with the team, because once you're on IR, you really can't do that during the week. So I don't know. I was writing earlier that regardless, even just having him on the field as a decoy is still going to be a huge boost to this offense. You go from a week ago having Tutu Atwell, Demarcus Robinson, and Tyler Johnson as really your only receiving options, because Jordan Whittington was out also, and he's out again this week, to now having those plus Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. So regardless, if he's actually involved in necessarily the passing game, just him being on the field will make the jobs easier for the three I just mentioned, Tutu, Tyler, and DeMarcus, because they go from being wide receiver 1, 2, and 3 to being back where they should be 3, 4, 5. And so it makes their job easier. It takes you're not having corner 1 on those guys. Now you're having the nickel or a linebacker potentially, or depending what personnel they're running. So just him being out there make things easier. Now I have no idea how much he'll actually be involved. I would think it won't be a ton, but it's still good just having on the field. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the camp that I want to see him. So one of the things that Coach McVay was talking about heading into Cooper Kupp's return is return to performance, not necessarily return to play. And from what I've read about the practice sessions that the media was allowed to see was that he's only gone through walkthroughs. He hasn't played full speed football since week 1 against the Detroit Lions when he got hurt. So I don't want to see him out there that much. As much as it pains me to say, this defense is going to put him to the test. They're going to do their best to lock these guys down, and I would wait on it. That's just kind of where I'm standing on it. But so I'm hoping he's maybe out there for a few series, maybe get a couple of touchdowns, get a couple of points on the board with him as kind of that decoy, or get him a few reps out there, and then sit him down, put some ice on that knee, and wait till Seattle. But it probably kind of depends on how this game plays out. If they're able to get some points on the board, they might take him out. But if it goes the other direction, where the who are we playing? The Vikings are running the score up, So I think they'll kind of take it rep by rep, series by series. But my hope is not a lot, and they're still able to keep this close. And I think with Cooper Kupp, he's supposedly fully healthy, back to performance, not just to play. And I think that's enough to get this offense pointed in the right direction, kind of free up Kyron Williams a bit more, so that defensive line just can't count on him, taking a certain amount of snaps, mix it up a little bit in there, get some room for some of those other receivers. Gosh, I wish Jordan Whittington was playing in this game, because that would have been, a much better option. But this is where we are.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I think series by series is definitely the right approach in this. And I know you just mentioned Cooper Kupp, fully healthy, performances there, but still hasn't played since week 1. Even he has practice limited. I know he wasn't on IR, so he could be with the team the whole time with walkthroughs and whatnot. But based on reporting, hasn't practiced in full really until like this week. So even he's going to have some rust. And is that going to flare up at all when he's out there in a real game situation? So as exciting as it is that both are back, there's still a lot more questions than answers of what their actual impact will be, what their availability will be, and what their progress will look like within the offense. And it comes down to this, right, Skinny? Like, if the Rams really want to win this game, like, they still need to put their stock, I think, in Kyron Williams. I think that is still the person that needs to be the focal point of this offense. And then you hopefully, if healthy enough, can sprinkle in Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp in situational football. Obviously, they're going to give you a boost in the red zone. But if they immediately go to, hey, we're going to give Kupp 19 targets and Nacua 13 targets, that worries me. That should not be, especially against this Brian Flores defense that is going to tee off on Stafford and this banged up offensive line in terms of blitz packages.
Yeah, I think kind of the worst case scenario I see is one of these guys goes down again with an injury, or Stafford goes down with an injury. Minnesota's racking up 9 QB hits per game this year. That's top in the league, 55 total, I believe I guess that would be around, 55 total. And the kind of the worst case scenario in the passing game is they kind of lean on these short yardage, 5-6 yard passes to these guys. And then the secondary is able to just tee off on these guys. And we've seen that in games past. in past where, they just kind of put a shell on top of it, on top of McVay. And then, safeties are coming down and cornerbacks are making tackles on these guys, and linebackers are even getting to them in some cases. And that's just a lot of wear and tear. So this Vikings defense is second in allowing the least explosive plays this year. The Rams have not been explosive so far on offense. So, they're Vikings are doing a fantastic job at it. Now, these two guys do add that element back in, but it's going to be a slog all the way through for these guys and for Stafford too. As you mentioned, this is a blitz happy team. Everybody's talking about how much they blitz. They're also great against the run too. They're number one or number two against the run. They have the fifth best yards per carry on defense.
Yeah.
Best EPA per play against the run. So this offense has improved, but this is going to be the hardest test they've gone against. And in terms of those EPA numbers, all of the Rams opponents have been like league average or below when it comes to run defense. Well, so it's tough.
Well, it's a great point, because it's like, yes, they're getting Kupp and Nacua back, but it's almost a net negative because, last week they didn't have them, but they were going against the Raiders defense, and offensively they could do nothing. I mean, they scored off of turnovers and that was it. Now they get those two guys back, but they're going up against arguably the best defense in football. So it's almost just a nets out. And it's like, what are you going to get from the rest of your offense? It's obviously, as we mentioned in the beginning, it's still going to add a lot of value and whatnot. Real quick, before we talk about the game, we got to address this issue in the room with Coach Rowe. Chime in the chat. Coach, what's up? Skinny, it's Ryan's fault, me, that you have to watch on TV tonight. So let me ask you this. If you got a text from me that said, got tickets to the Rams game tonight, that's all it said, what would your response be?
Let's go. Is this an invite or are you just bragging?
I responded 11 minutes later. Nice. Should be a great game. And he said, oh, you took too long. I was trying to give my tickets away. Like, well, if you should have said that like in the original message, right? Like usually you should give some insight into what the message is. So Coach, like the cryptic messages, I just couldn't decipher.
But anyway, so he's going to the game tonight.
Well, I think he gave them to someone else, but regardless, I couldn't have gone anyway, Coach, because we do work these games now, so kind of have to do some coverage. But it would be fun, whoever is going. So congrats to whoever you gave those tickets to. Should be an electric atmosphere at SoFi, especially now. So I did the last times I'm trying to think, was it the last time the Vikings played in LA against the Rams? That is, because I know they've been here to play the Chargers too. But I was at the game back at the Collie. Kirk Cousins versus Jared Goff, like 38-31 Rams win in a thriller. It was the famous YG Robert Woods like high five in the stands. Like I was at that game at the Collie. That was incredible. So if we can get fireworks like that tonight, that'd be great. So I love too. You keep saying like you have Skinny's contact information. You could have hit him up directly too, Coach.
Yeah, don't be afraid. I don't bite. I like tickets.
Yeah. Anyway, but thanks for thinking of us, Coach. We'll talk. Hopefully, we'll be talking Saturday morning if the USC can actually beat Rutgers, but that's a whole nother conversation. So, all right, back to this game. Let's talk a little bit defense. As good as Minnesota's defense is, and as bad as the Rams' offense was I think with this boost, they can at least be a little more competitive. The other side is where my real concerns are, because you look at this Rams defense who played frisky last week, 4 turnovers, fantastic. But outside of those turnovers, the Raiders moved the ball really easily, and then they made opportunistic plays. And I'm not trying to sound negative or whatever, but they made opportunistic plays, but I wouldn't say it wasn't like a dominant defensive performance. They just got a very lackluster performance from Gardner Minshew, who gave that over. This Vikings offense now with Aaron Jones at running back, Sam Darnold, fight on, welcome back home to LA, playing some of his best football in his NFL career, and obviously the two-headed monster of Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison pose a lot of threats for this Rams suspect defense and even more suspect secondary. Now, the secondary looked much better last week, obviously, as I just mentioned with the interceptions, but I mean, look who they're going up against. Sometimes you do have to take into account the actual competition, and this is much different. So before I give it over to you, no TJ Hawkinson for the Vikings again, held out again for this game. And so that is you never want to root for injuries, but a big relief for the Rams defense to not have the Vikings have another weapon. But what do you make of this? I mean, this is a really good, talented Vikings offense with a lot of weapons, and KOC obviously a great play caller, as Rams fans know.
Yeah, absolutely. The offense got better. The defense hasn't. They haven't gotten anybody back. There's nobody walking through that door from the
Troy
IR.
Reader's on the IR. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, Jordan or Omar Spates played fantastically in the preseason. The preseason is not the regular season, guys. The unknown is always a little bit more exciting than the known, but we're going to find out exactly what happens with him because Jordan Addison also fight on and Justin Jefferson can go inside, outside. Those linebackers are going to be put on one of those guys at some point early on in this game, I bet. That could lead to an explosive play. So yeah, and the other guy that's covering the slot is Josh Wallace. He's started the last 2 games in Green Bay and then Las Vegas as well. He's an undrafted free agent rookie. Trouble against Brock Bowers. He had, and he's also a rookie. These are 2 grown men receivers, especially Justin Jefferson. And if there's a spot that they can take advantage of, I think that's where they go. Line one of these guys up in the slot every time, every snap of the game, have either one of them in there, and and see how those guys can kind of hold up. And then like we've been saying all season, the Rams have really struggled against the run, and Aaron Jones is no slouch. He was on the injured list. He's going to be in for this game, but lesser running backs have made the Rams pay. So the thing you got to look to pressure on Sam Darnold. How can you get to him fast enough? How can you take away those deep, long developing plays as much as possible? And then you got two good guys in the backfield in the deep back for the safeties. You got Cam Curl back there, and you got Quentin Lake now back there. He's moved out of the star position, the nickel role, and back to full-time safety. And just limit the explosives, which the Rams, against even the competition that they've gone up against so far, are 27th in giving up explosive plays, whether that's on the ground or through the air. And that's kind of where Sam Darnold has lived so far this year, is taking advantage of those things. And you'd know better than I would. Is he that kind of merchant, just taking those advantages, or is he slicing and dicing kind of in a more methodical way?
I think he can do a little of both. He's definitely capable of the big play, and I don't know if you have it in front of you. You said that the Rams are 27th in giving up the big play. I'm curious what Minnesota is in the big play, because it seems like every week either Jefferson, or I know Addison missed some time to injury, but every week one of them has a big pass play. Obviously they had that 97-yard touchdown back in week 3 or 4, but every week they seem to have some big touchdown pass going deep. So that is definitely something to watch. Go ahead.
They're 7th, offense, the Vikings offense. Yeah.
There you go. So, and the Rams offense to that point has not been able to have the explosive play hardly at all this season. Obviously we've seen in years past that kind of being great, especially when Stafford came over. Now a lot of that's obviously attributed to lack of time with the offensive line injuries, and then obviously just not having, top tier talent in your outside receiving threats, which they haven't had up until this game. So maybe that can change. But yeah, Sam Darnold, I mean, he's looked reborn. He looks like his old USC self this season. I think the system fits him really well. That was something that I kind of thought when he went to the Vikings. I thought it would suit him well in San Francisco as well last year when he was a backup there, but obviously, they have their guy in Brock Purdy. So him going to Minnesota, a good organization, a great coach, and a good system, obviously with weapons, I think has suited him well, and he's taken full advantage of that. And I think he's played really well. Now, to that being said, I think his last kind of 10 quarters, he's definitely regressed a little bit to the mean than what we saw the first kind of 5 games over the year. And still playing good football, but not like MVP level football that he was, a few weeks ago. So I think the Rams can take advantage of that. And as you mentioned, the biggest thing is going to be getting to him and getting pressure in his face, making him see those ghosts that he saw back when he was with Adam Gase and the Jets. Last week, obviously they weren't able to, they lost the Lions, and the Lions, even without Aiden Hutchinson, were able to still get 15 pressures on Sam Darnold against I think a pretty good offensive line in Minnesota. No Dalton Reisner again this week at the guard position. But to be able to get 15 pressures without your star pass rusher tells me that the Rams, especially if Chris Shula dials up the amount of blitzes that we've kind of seen him do over the last few weeks, will certainly be able to get in his face and get pressure. Now it's going to be on that back end. If they're given one-on-one looks and man coverage opportunities, are they able to withstand those two elite receivers that they have? So that will be the big kind of question. I don't love going man. Usually I like man coverage. I don't love it against a Justin Jefferson or a Jordan Addison, because not only are they both two of the best route runners in football, but they've got great catch radiuses, great hands. They're just the full package, all of them. So I think you need to play almost a little more zone against them, or at least keep a safety or two high. But if you're going to be bringing different blitzes, you kind of give that up in some capacity. You can still obviously play zone with blitzing, but I think in the week past, they played a lot more man in that situation. So that'll be the question, and that'll be, how do you slow them down? And we know, like you said, the run defense hasn't been great all season, and very capable running back in Aaron Jones and what they have. Cam Akers back in Minnesota after going to Minnesota, then going to Houston, now back in Minnesota. So the Rams may see a little bit of Cam Akers. You never know. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting. It's not a great matchup. I'll just say that for the Rams defense.
Yeah, no, they need a lot of things to go their way. Other former Rams on this team, Johnny Munt is kind of their starting tight end as well.
Yeah,
and my guy Brandon Powell out there now as well.
That's right, B Powell.
Yeah. B Powell.
He's had some good moments this season.
He's had a couple of good moments. Yeah. Those are my guys. Xavier Smith last week.
I was gonna say, if you ever get to go to a bar with Brandon Powell and Xavier Smith, you'll die a happy man.
I think so. Yeah, that's my type of guy right there. The offensive line for the Rams, for the Vikings, playing really well, but they, obviously susceptible to pressure, obviously what they did last week. And, my big question on the defense is that who's going to be the kind of difference maker? Is this the week that we see Jared Verse finally, rack up a couple of sacks, and Braden Fisk questionable for this game as well. So also not great. And then when you are, what's that?
That would be a big loss if you can't go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about how much Kobe Turner is playing. He went from like 62% rep share last year on the defensive line. He's up in the 80s now most weeks. So he's taking on a whole more. I know they added Jonah Williams, probably work him in there more. But it certainly doesn't help against the run. And then when you can't stack the box, if you have to keep two safeties high, when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, that makes stacking the box really hard. And Cam Curl has kind of lived up closer to the line of scrimmage. So yeah, as you're saying, there's just a lot of ways the offense can put them in a blender, and then the defense too. I mean, it's just a real tough matchup.
Yeah. Does Jared Verse get a sack today? I mean, the dude, 27 pressures, only one sack so far in the season. He's playing fantastic. I don't want to take anything away about how well he's playing, but at some point you got to get home and get these actual sacks, because those are game-changing plays. Do you think he gets one today?
I mean, that's something I would love to ask Coach Rowe, somebody that knows a bit more about playing the defensive line than me. I didn't play a lot of defensive line in my time in college.
Yeah, I didn't play any, yeah.
Yeah. Not the physical prototype at 5'8", 150, which I've been since then.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Like we could play in pony leagues now, defensive line.
Yeah, you put me in Pee Wee, so I could definitely get in there. But where was I going with all that? Because what is it that he has so many pressures? Is he getting too far into the backfield where he's just kind of just playing with his hair on fire instead of being patient and reading everything correctly? And I don't know. I was actually looking at Andrew Van Ginkel's stats today.
Another one of your guys.
Yeah, 18 pressures, 5 sacks. So just like, I mean, he's getting home, and he's got like two interceptions for touchdowns, pick sixes for him. Yeah, I mean, I think he gets a sack in this game just because I think there's going to be a lot riding on it. So and they moved him around a bit, so maybe they can get him away from Darisaw. And, that's what they did against Trent Williams and the 49ers. They moved him to the other side, and he did really well in that game. So I think there's ways they can generate pressure. And there's a great clip going around with Christian Roseboom on a motion, kind of looping around for a sack or a pressure from last week as well. It's on Nate Tice's Twitter if you guys want to go check that out. But that's one of the things that Chris Shula has been pretty good at. They have a really high pressure rate. Now, one of the things that I noticed that their pressure rate is really high, but their pressures are middling. They're somewhere towards the middle of the league in the amount of pressures that they've had, but their pressure rate is so high. And the only thing that means is that teams are running the ball against them a lot and not throwing it as often. Sometimes because of leads, sometimes because it's just working out. So once again, it's tough on this defense, and I don't see them improving enough to really contain these wide receivers. I keep coming back to that. Justin Jefferson's just a game changer. Go watch last week's game, the Chargers game, and tell me if you need an adult man wide receiver in your room that can catch a pass when you need it the most. Jalen Reagor just dropping balls, breaking my heart.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a tough matchup, and again, getting Puka and Kupp is back, but until we see this offense really prove the dynamism that we expected, it's hard to think that it'll just change all of a sudden 4 days after a bad offensive performance. So let's get to this question real quick. I saw you looking at it and smile. Yeah. I'm guessing this is a fantasy question, which we are by no means fantasy experts. We'll just say that. I'm in like 5 leagues and not doing great in really any of them. Injuries have killed me, as have many people. And I know you, the avid fantasy player that hasn't even logged into your app since we did our LAFB draft, but I'll let you answer first. Would you play Puka over Smith and Jigba out in Seattle this week?
Can you remind me who the Seahawks are playing this week? And has Smith and Jigba been hurt?
Before the Seahawks are playing the Bills. I know that. I honestly have no idea how well Njigba's done this season. Now,
yeah, I'm leaning towards Njigba. I don't know a ton about it, but I'm gonna peek real quick. This is fantastic radio, especially live. Why am I trying?
Yeah, Metcalf's out. There you go. He answered for us.
There you go. I would lean that way. Yeah, I mean they got Lockett and him and Kenneth Walker, and yeah, play him, start him. Yeah, don't come back at me if that goes wrong though. Here's
I'll just say this. I have Puka Nacua on 2 of my leagues, and I am not starting him tonight. First game back after 6 weeks out against Minnesota. Yeah, I'm not starting him tonight on a short week. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, another question here. Any news on Higbee? I haven't heard anything.
Last I heard he's on PUP, and I mean I think I can't remember what reporter it said it, but I mean he's basically not expected to be back till like December. It's like the timeline is like December or later, like a playoff push.
Well, an interesting note is TJ Hawkinson last year, Christmas Eve, was playing against the Detroit Lions, got hit towards ACL and MCL, and was out until he'll probably be back next week. And that's about a 10-month window. A month later, playing the Detroit Lions, Tyler Higbee gets hurt, same injury.
Damn Lions.
Yeah, we're biting kneecaps and apparently
I think it's just Michigan in general, because Michigan did the same thing against USC, Lake McCree, like low hit right around the knee. He luckily only missed like 3 games, but something in the water out there in Michigan with these hits apparently.
Yeah, so I don't expect him back until you're thinking November, December.
I'm going to guess December. Yeah. Especially just
Wow.
because it's been so mum on it. Usually if he was only 3-4 weeks out, you'd think we'd start hearing some chatter, but
Yeah.
it seems like it's
Hard to say.
like if they're out of playoff picture, like he might not even come back this year.
Yeah, maybe. Which with that knowledge now, it's kind of amazing that they didn't do more to try to solidify that. Maybe they thought Davis Allen and Colby Parkinson and Hunter Long would be able to rise to the occasion. Which, I mean, Colby Parkinson's been doing okay, but like as you point out, he's never been that pass catching tight end. So.
Well, it makes that, before you go to this next question, it does make that, and I love this Rams team, and I hate sound like we're questioning it, but it really makes that decision to sign Parkinson a peculiar one. If they knew, basically, and we all knew, I mean, that's the timeline of the injury, that Higbee was going to be out till late November, December at the earliest. You have no proven pass catching tight end, so you go sign a pure blocking tight end to a 3-year, $21 million deal. Like, very peculiar. Like,
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not saying there's a ton of elite tight ends out there just for anyone to go get, but
yeah.
Interesting.
Well, and they were trying to trade up for Brock Bowers pretty aggressively. So
which now that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, for sure. On the offensive line question here, I imagine it's going to be the same 5 across the board. No new injuries, and probably Justin Dedich can, considering he didn't allow pressure last week. I thought,
played another fight on, played great. Another Trojan.
There we go.
A lot of Trojans in this game.
Always.
Darnold, Addison, Dedich. I think that's all starters. I think. Yeah. Probably. No one on defense, not surprising. But hey, what's funny though is, make that joke, no one on defense because how bad USC is. But right now, one of the best defensive players in football is Kalen Bullock for Houston Texans. Leads all rookies in interceptions.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of interceptions and turnovers in general, Minnesota also leads in interceptions, takeaways, 11, almost 2 per game.
Yeah. That's it's crazy how coaching can have that big of an impact on turnovers, because Brian Flores has been known for that since he's came into the league coaching, is like really instituting high turnover volume defenses back, when he was obviously on the staff with New England and then in Miami and then obviously now here. Like, so obviously coaching matters. We all know that. Like, it's a very integral part of the game at every single level of football you play. But it is just very interesting how a coaching and scheme can have so much impact on the turnover game when that's strictly execution. And I think a big part of that is because he runs such blitz heavy defenses, it puts that offense in so much pressure, and that quarterback making quicker decisions. How many quarterbacks are good at making those quick decisions? And as great as Matthew Stafford is and has been over his career, we've seen him be that gunslinger even when pressure's in his face and take some risks, which obviously then that's how you turn into turnovers, is when you force the quarterback to take a risk without giving him ample time to think. And so that true kind of blitz pressure that isn't it something like over 50%, which is insane compared to the rest of the league. That's why they are so good in turnovers, and hopefully the Rams can mitigate that, but that's something that could actually happen for sure.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things that could cause this game to go in the favor of the Rams. And one of them, Blake Cashman, their starting linebacker, is going to be out. That's for the Vikings, obviously. He's not going to play in this game. So that is something that, see if you can get Kupp on their linebacking depth is almost just as bad. As the Rams. Looking, Ivan Pace Jr., he's done an admirable job. They've got Camus, Grugier Hill, and Brian Asamoah II. Those aren't household names, I wouldn't say. So one of those guys is gonna get some extra playing time. So that's something they can take advantage of. Also, the Vikings are coming off of a highly emotional game that was toughly fought just not that long ago. And then they're going on the road. So if that can be, truly effective, and we'll see how this Vikings fan base travels if they do a SoFi takeover or not. But those are just kind of a couple of things that could go in the Rams' favor that could give them a chance in this game.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think any way you can attack those linebackers, which again, Kyron Williams, he's got to be the focal point. And you got to hope that McVay and his play calling doesn't put too much pressure on Kupp and Nacua and still sticks with the bread and butter that is Kyron Williams, and maybe we'll see some more Blake Corum. Hopefully, they've seemed like they've gotten him a little bit in. So I think that's the key. Coach, is that 100% true?
It is. I heard this stat somewhere somebody was talking about it. Maybe on Good Morning or NFL
Good Morning
Daily.
America?
No. Because of the NFL Daily.
So every team after playing the Lions loses the next week, even if they beat the Lions previously?
Yeah, which I don't know how much I love that statistic, if it's noisier than or just coincidental.
It's for sure noisier, yeah. It's more coincidence than I think a thing, but
it was Jordan Rodriguez on NFL Daily. We'll give her props always.
Okay.
For the great work she does.
There you go. Yeah, that's fun. So here's a fun question from Jason. What's up, Jason? Our guy. If Avila and Jackson come back at the same time, who will be left guard and who will be center?
You must be reading my articles, man. This is a tough one. I mean, Bo Limmer has played pretty well, really well for a rookie. Yeah. It was weird. It was weird coming out of training camp when they did the big switcheroo where Avila had moved to center and Jackson was at left guard, and then they switched it right before the season started. And I don't like it when that happens, just because the offensive line is so continuity heavy.
Yeah. But I have no idea what to make of that. I mean, the only thing that I can think of is that Avila just struggled at center through the game, so they felt more confident with Jackson. So which would lead me to believe when they're both healthy and back, it will go back to that Avila at guard, Jackson at center. But it's just, it's another frustrating thing because like you signed Jonah Jackson to be your guard, not your center.
Yeah, huge contract.
Yeah. So, but Bo Lemmer's play well. I mean, if Bo Lemmer and Justin Dedich can keep it up, maybe they're just riding the pine, an expensive bench.
Well, and another question is Joe Newboom's kind of knocking on the door. So will they put him in at left guard, which I think he's played in at some point. He's played kind of all over the place. So that's another thing to consider as well. He's still on the IR, designated to return. I think they opened his window, but did not take him off of IR.
Yeah.
So,
and his best, if I'm not mistaken, he's played his best at left guard with the Rams, not at left tackle. I think he's been his best at guard, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I don't have the numbers or the grades in front of me, but just from memory of watching him play, I remember him struggling more at tackle and performing better at guard. The only time he really played well at tackle was spotting Whitworth a few times years back when Whit missed a couple of games here and there. But whenever he was like seen as the tackle, it just seemed to not go well. Whereas when he started at guard, similar scenario, he played a little better. So I could be wrong on that. That's just from my memory. But then again, the dude unfortunately just hasn't played consistently ever. So with the Rams.
Yeah. Just kind of glancing through PFF here. He played 2019, a bunch of snaps at left guard through like 6 games, it looks like. In terms of the grading, wasn't fantastic. Obviously, we only put a certain amount of stock in that. Played a lot of tackle in 2020. A lot of tackle in 2021. Oh, 2022, a lot of left tackle at 2022. Yeah. So limited experience at left guard, but I mean, they move him all over and they're, he's an $11 million cap hit. He's, as I like to call him, the most expensive backup player in the league.
Yeah. I mean, if he comes back and can't beat out Justin Dedich, who's making like $300,000 this year, whatever the league practice squad minimum is, that'd be something.
Yeah. I question everything when I see that contract. I'm just like, what? How did this happen? How has he not been cut? They're so good at these contracts where they can just get rid of them and just eat the dead cap or whatever. But this one was just such a bad contract. Every now and again, they just pull one of these just terrible contracts right out of their ear. And like, he was supposed to take over for Whitworth. I mean, that was obviously the plan, but
yeah. And that's, I think, one of those, like, I know people like to say like, oh, they don't panic. They know they're smarter than you what they were doing, but it felt like one of those almost panic signings. And it reminds me back to, when Brock Osweiler came in for Peyton Manning for the Broncos in 2015. And then Manning retired, and obviously the Broncos offered him a contract. He had played 7 games for him that year. But the Texans then offered like this crazy contract, literally based on 7 games. And it's like one of those, like, if you don't have a quarterback, you almost panic and just overpay so you can say you have one. And it felt like the Rams, with Whitworth retiring, had no other option at left tackle. And so, like, do we go into this year with nothing or overpay for a guy that at least has been with the team and has played some quality reps here and there? Was he worth what he's making? Obviously not. He hasn't even played really. But it just felt like one of those almost like panic signings that if you'd rather, they were in like left tackle purgatory, if you will, at that point.
Yeah. I'm not sure about this one. I mean, at least Atwell's been on a rookie contract. So
yeah. Come on, coach. It's not worse than Tutu. It's only worse than Tutu because they passed on Creed Humphrey and took Tutu.
And a whole bunch of other players.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of others. But at least he's like played this year. And he's making, rookie money still. If they now based on his 4 years and then give him a second big contract, then that's the worst one, because it would just be like, why? How did that happen? Anything else you want to get into before wrapping this up? We are about an hour 15 from kickoff. Cannot wait. It's gonna be a great game. I mean, this is gonna be a fun game anyway. Thursday night, you're on prime time. Everyone's watching the Rams. That's always fun. But let's be honest. Last Sunday, after the Raiders performance, I was like, they're gonna get smacked in this game. Like, yeah, it'll be fun. We'll watch it, but they're gonna just get blown out. There's always, and everything we said, I still agree with, but there's definitely some rejuvenation and excitement now with Kupp and Nacua back. It just makes things more interesting now that they can surprise this team potentially.
Yeah, I mean, like we've been saying, Stafford and Sean McVay can keep teams in this game, or to keep their team in the game, in any game, and this just gives them at least a couple of superstars to try to get that offense going. And I mean, it's not going to be easy. It's certainly not a guarantee that they're going to put many points up on this awesome defense. They're just the three of them are just gonna have to ball out as anytime they're on the field. They're going to have to. And Stafford's had a couple of down weeks. I wouldn't say he's had terrible games, but he hasn't had much to throw to, and so hopefully we'll see a rejuvenation across the board and put up a few more points than 13 offensive points against the league's worst defense last week.
Yeah, with 4 turnovers.
7 points were scored by the defense, and the Cardi party didn't look so much fun either, with 2 missed kicks.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I know. So there needs to be a lot of change going into this game against a much better team. But hopefully it's a fun game, exciting game. Jason, post game show.
Nope.
Were you just about to do that one?
Yep.
We are getting old, so we will probably, this is a night game, we'll probably record our post-game reaction tomorrow and get it up on Friday. So it'll be tomorrow.
If something crazy goes down, we'll be on.
Yeah. We'll find some elixir or something to get us going.
10, 20 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But most likely this will be a Friday show post-game. Yeah. So, and then I get to go to USC tomorrow night till 3 a.m. with an 8 o'clock kickoff. Got to fight the roads with the Dodgers and the Lakers. Drive right through the teeth of it through downtown. So that'll be fun. Oh, yeah. 8 o'clock kickoff. Like Pac-12 after dark was brutal, but at least they were 7:30 kickoffs. Somehow we got later in the Big Ten, 8 p.m. on a Friday.
Yeah.
I feel so old because I'm like exhausted by the time I get there.
Yeah.
And then literally after the press conferences, Skinny, like, this, I've told you this, like, I will not leave the Coliseum probably till like 1 a.m. or later, maybe even 2 a.m. I won't get home till 3.
We got the press conferences. You got to write up on the press conferences.
Yeah, I got to write it up. Yeah. I'll get home at probably 3 a.m.
Dang.
I mean, here I am sounding complaining. I still get the best job in the world. Like I'm going to a football game to talk about it. So I don't want to come across like that. It's just like, I'm just complaining about an 8 o'clock kickoff. That's all. Which I think everyone would agree with.
Yeah. Saturday's a nice day of rest.
No LA football on Saturday.
Well, but we got the Dodgers, which we're not
Dodgers are-
covering. We're not covering the Lakers, Clippers, and Dodgers. We got writers for all of them, and probably soon podcasts for them. So you guys are rooting for the right team. We want to do score predictions for this game.
Yes, we should. And let me just double down that for those that don't know, the LA Fan Base Network. We are expanding our footprint to all LA sports. We have Dodgers coverage, we have Lakers coverage, Clippers coverage, and every team coming soon. We're just launching slowly, so we're not like providing bad coverage for 15 teams. I want to provide good coverage for 7 teams, and then we'll go as we continue to grow. So the LA Fan Base Network, like we said, we are LA Sports. New tagline. Right. But yes, give me your score prediction. Let's hear it.
Well, I want to say, last time I did one of these, you made fun of me for picking 15. That's exactly what the Raiders got. They ended with 15 points.
You're right. Holy cow, you're right.
5 field goals.
The Chargers did as well.
I like picking the weird scores because it just points out that like it doesn't matter. But
yeah,
I'm going Vikings for this. I think it's going to be 30-24. They're very, very conventional score.
30-20. Sorry, you said the Vikings winning 30-24?
Yeah.
Yes, I think I just don't know what to make of this game because we haven't seen this offense together since the first half of week 1. So as excited as I am to see Kupp and Nacua back, we haven't seen them in this environment together for whatever it's been, 7 weeks. So I can't heartedly say like, yep, that's it. That's all they needed. They're going to go up against a top 5 defense and all of a sudden score 30 points. And I don't think this defense is quite there yet to slow down the Vikings. So Coach Rowe, 21-24 Rams. I like it. So you said the spread was 3 +3 for the Rams?
Yep. And the over under is, I had it here. 46.5.
46.5. So fairly low scoring game, as just saying. I will go the Rams, who have shown that they've been opportunistic, are able to get a turnover or 2 in this one. But the Vikings defense will also force a turnover or 2. I think they push the spread, but can't quite pull it off. Stafford and McVay always seem to play pretty well on primetime games, so I think they'll be competitive. But I think the Vikings will win 27-24.
Okay.
So same Rams score as you, but less points for the Vikings. All right. There we go. Anything else you need to add?
No. Have a great time, guys.
Yeah.
We'll be here for you. Go read some stuff.
Enjoy the game.
Deep breaths.
Yeah. LAFBnetwork.com. I think we've done like 9 Rams articles today, a bunch of stuff. So a lot of stuff there, a lot of USC, Lakers, Clippers, Dodgers, UCLA, all of it. So at LAFBnetwork.com. Twitter at LAFB Network. Give us a follow. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, at Rams LAFB is the YouTube channel. Please hit that like and subscribe. Certainly helps us out a ton. And yeah, hit us up.
Coach Rowe has something to say, apparently.
He wants to add something from the chat. What do you want to add before I hit end stream here?
Yeah.
Since you've written like an essay here in the comments, it's all Rowe. I'll give him 10 seconds to see what he says, and then we'll end this. So, but thanks everyone for hanging out. This was fun. I mean, we had almost 1,000 people in here.
Yeah. If you guys have any other score predictions, throw them up. We'll put them up on the screen. Well, where's my press for tomorrow? What a joker. All right, we're getting out of here on that.
On that note, thank you all so much for hanging out. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll be around working, so hit us up. We'll talk on Twitter or whatnot. Ramley is always great. Hopefully we get to 3-4.
Yeah.
If they can take down the Seahawks 4-4 at the deadline, that would probably mean instead of trading Kupp, they actually go get someone at the deadline. But that'll be a conversation for after this game. Everyone enjoy the game. For Skinny T, I am Ryan Dyrud. We'll talk to you all tonight and tomorrow. Thanks again for hanging out, everyone.